show. Always Irish show. Always Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, buddy. Do we have anything to cover today? Is there any Notre Dame news, any drama you guys want to talk about? You know, or is it just the sleepy old off season where there's nothing going on? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Nothing Notre Dame, nothing could just feel or seem or look normal. It's I realize every school goes through portal stress. Who's coming and going? Why? I realize that is not unique to Notre Dame. But every single thing with Notre Dame just gets magnified, blown up, and there's 20 more layers to it, and it connects to everything else. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, okay? And so there's a lot to navigate here. There's a bunch of questions, totally fair questions people are putting in the chat that I want to have a chance to address. There is a lot going on here. There's a lot going on at Notre Dame. Let me start here before I even get to the introduction. It's been a long week in the building in Notre Dame. It's been a long, stressful week in the building in Notre Dame, okay? Some of this is normal, but I'm telling you, it's been a long week behind those doors at Notre Dame. Okay? So it's more than just the normal with what's going on this week. I am 100% confident and comfortable verifying that. There's some issues going on, okay? Take it, leave it, I don't care. Take it, leave it, I don't care. I'm telling you what I know from the sources that me and Goolsby have. And I have some of my own. He has some of his own at a higher level. We get the information, match it up. That's how it goes. Okay? So it's been a tough week, more than the normal. Now, how much should we freak out? Where do we divide the line of what part of this is normal stress and what is it? Let's get into it. There's a lot to cover. Now, I want to give people the phones, get their opinion in on all this. I have bullet points. It's important. I feel I need to address and get out early because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with Notre Dame media. Mike and I and our Patreon have an angle that differs from other angles, and everybody's just trying to sort out what is what with what is going on. Let's try and go through some of this. And I hope I can kind of thread a needle and explain some of this and see what you guys think about it. Okay? See what you think about it. So let's get into this. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Johnny out as well. Notifications on that way you alerted every time there's a new episode up. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it. The call-in lines 312-988-15. It's time to call Johnny. Tell me all the football things you've heard and seen. I'm afraid to open the lines. Instagram, Facebook, Always Irish Inc. Fighting Irish Wire. Read all about it every damn day. Patreon.com/Always Irish. Mike Goolsby and myself. When he gets sourcing, it is top notch. top notch. That's all I'm going to tell. 8 sources that if you knew who they were, you would go, yep, I believe that guy. He has no reason to have an angle here either way. So I believe that guy. That's what I'm going to tell you. So Goolsby gets a bunch of information the other day. That's the Patreon stuff. And a bunch of people went there to hear his details and all that stuff. That is the place to go for premium sourced information and the details. That has to be protected proprietary information. And a lot of people went there this week to get that scoop. And that's kind of the spot for that. And it's going to continue to be. And there's more stuff coming. Working the phones, you got to understand the last couple days. Goolsby on the phone every single day, multiple times with multiple people, me too. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts everywhere. We got to sort through it, okay? Patreon.com/alwaysirish. All those juicy details are located there. Thank you to everybody that jumped over there this week. A lot of people jumped on board wanting to hear some of those details. And as far as Mike could provide from his information and then mine from my end there. Okay. So before we get started, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, get yourself a looski, get your dad a looski, get 5 looskies and drink your shots out of them, everybody. Go for it. Okay. T-shirts, hoodies, whatever you want, they got it. ndsubwayalumni.com. And I tell you all the time, very important cause to me. Notre Dame would not be what it is without the group of the Subway alumni. It's great to see somebody want to honor that group specifically within Notre Dame Nation. I respect it. I like it. These are good guys. If you need a Christmas gift or whatever, I tell you, go there. Go there. All right. Let's do the chats first. We got a few of them today. I still want people to call. I'm not saying I'm not taking calls because I have a monologue. I'm just saying I need to get through my bullet points. Then I'm happy to open it up. So if you want to call now, listen to some of this for a few minutes, then I'll jump in with you. Fine. If anybody wants to wait until I'm done and then call because you're busy, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do. But given the dynamics here and the conflicting information here, and one narrative's out about a lot of what's going on, and then there's another one that there's just a lot to sort through. So, and I feel obligated to try and do a job of doing that here. $2 holler from Ryan Elliott. Thank you very much, my friend. $5 holler from Pat. John, please tell Always Irish Nation, wait till summer until the dust settles to provide analysis critique. Fat is being trimmed and transfers are coming. It doesn't matter what I say. I could tell people that all I wanted, Pat. It's never going to happen. That's not how this goes, and you know it. So I love the $5 holler, but telling everybody to chill out till that is never, ever, ever going to happen. Every little thing in Notre Dame land spurs 20 more things. Like, that's just not going to happen. I could say it all I wanted, but it isn't going to happen. And also, here's the other thing. Pat, if I followed that advice that you want me to give everybody else, if I followed it, then I wouldn't have a YouTube show or a Patreon. It'd be pointless. If I had also had to wait to make a critique on anything, I'd shut the show down. I wouldn't have any work to do. That's half of what I do here. $2 holler from Steven Arado. Have faith. Freeman will get us some wide receivers. See better. $5 holler. How am I doing? Let me quote my good friend Lloyd Christmas. Our pets' heads are falling off. $2 holler for Rodney, Tyree, Tobias, and James. Oh my. Yeah, you're on the edge of losing Rico too. He had an NIL event, a Notre Dame NIL event scheduled with the same guy that hosted the Hartman event that I promoted for and was the lead sponsor for. It's canceled. Make of that what you will. I'm not trying to break news. The guy put out a tweet saying the NIL autograph event with Rico's canceled. Okay? Maybe the guy's got a sniffling cold. I don't know. But you take of that information what you want. But this was a pre-planned, negotiated agent deal for the NIL stuff that has to be, this ain't a casual thing. People bought tickets to come get in line and and it's canceled now. You make of that whatever you want. I'm not saying anything's final. I'm just telling you, make of that information what you will. There's an issue there. Zach, 0.32, $5. The guys that like Stuckey or Maddie's leaving and the ones that didn't are just fed up with being an ND. Happens when wide receiver coaches have favorites. Might be something to that, Zach. At least Zach was able to see how there could end up being two different parts to this. V1 rotate $10 holler. Hey, John, I'm out in the middle of West Virginia wilderness doing some structural survey. I'll be in and out the next 2 weeks. How many transfer QBs have we now had? And how many playoff games do we win? Yeah, we're going on number 3 and number 0. And that's actually pretty cool that you're in the middle of the wilderness doing that surveying. That's pretty cool, actually. I'm kind of jealous that your job is to be out in the wilderness and doing that. It's pretty badass. I like that. Mike in Oklahoma, $10 holler. If Emo leaves, we have a major issue nobody knows about. It'd be a huge indicator that the Freeman Bayless entry, we love this coach moment's over for the players and recruits, which will come. If you notice, a lot of the drama here seems to be on the offensive side of the ball. I'm just throwing that out there as something to consider. Yeah, there were a couple guys that left on defense, but it was like not surprising, and you could understand why they did looking at the depth situation and their role so far. That makes complete sense to me. But if you notice, there's a lot more smoke and a lot more drama on the other side of the ball, and I think that is relevant to consider. $5 holler from Willie B. Art again. Can't answer that personal question. Please tell Pat I've never seen the Irish win a single postseason game that mattered, and I'm done waiting for it. I'm losing it here. Willie, I've said that my whole life. Everybody tells me we need patience. Everybody tells me you need patience with everything, and then I say I've never seen Notre Dame win a major bowl game in my entire cognizant existence, and I'm almost 40. How much more patience you asking from me? Like, we literally have not won a major bowl game since my brain's functioning of remembering what is going on in my life. We have never won a bowl game that's mattered. So it's really, really hard for somebody to sit there and go, John, just have patience. And I say, is my entire lifespan not enough patience? Like, I only get one lifespan. Do I need to borrow another one? How much patience do you need as a Notre Dame fan when I'm sitting here saying my whole life we've never won a bowl game that matters or moves the needle, not once in my entire cognizant existence? And I need more patience? Holy crap. That's asking a lot. All right, let's get into this. I'm going to go through my notes. If we have calls, we'll get to it. If we don't, we don't. I realize I'm setting this up a little different today. Mikey, I see you. I'd like to hear from you. If you're willing to hold on, give me like 5 minutes here to go through my stuff, maybe. Let's see. All right. So this has been a fast and furious week in Notre Dame land. Drama, drama, drama. Rumors, rumors, rumors. Transfers, transfers, transfers. Where that leaves Notre Dame fans is sitting back, trying to make sense of it all. Okay? I take for granted not everybody that comes here is also on Twitter. Notre Dame Twitter is an absolute dumpster fire disaster the last few days. Like, I take for granted, it's not like everybody's like me in our Twitter, Notre Dame Twitter niche, seeing the vibes and seeing what's going on in the messaging and where everybody's at. And then I come here and talk about, if you're not on Notre Dame Twitter in that niche, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare with people freaking out and the rumors and all the stuff. And there's fake accounts tweeting that everybody's leaving. Half those accounts are fake. And then people retweeting it thinking it's real, but it's a dummy account. It is a disaster. So that is just, it's bad with the rumors and half the people, the world's on fire. Notre Dame's flaming out. Everything's unraveling, going down. And other people are going, this is just what happens. It's transfer season. Chill out. That you got a lot going on. So that's the backdrop. So then you need to figure out as a Notre Dame fan, are things really unraveling to a certain extent? Or is this just kind of what happens and people leave? And Notre Dame's always going to lose a certain amount of people after the year coming and going, and that's just a part of the process. That's just a part of the process. So you have the Stuckey rumors. Then people are like in between with like, why Stuckey, not Parker? Why not both of them if you're going to do it? All the transfers. Let's explore both sides of this. I want to be totally fair and present both sides. Here's number one. You got to realize, and I have trouble with this too. I'm not putting this on the Notre Dame fan base. I'm saying me too. We have got to realize not all these guys feel the way about Notre Dame we do. That is a challenge. It's a challenge for me. I have to remind myself that some of these guys didn't grow up the way you did and I did, where it's Notre Dame is life. No matter what, Notre Dame's your only team. I grew up loving everything Notre Dame, and you could not, if you're me, you could not imagine a scenario that you would be in Notre Dame, blessed to be in that situation, then find any reason to leave any sooner than you have to, other than going pro, because that means you exceeded and had a great time in Notre Dame, played great. That's number one. You got to understand that. These guys do not have the lifelong loyalty to Notre Dame, these diehard fans, and I do. You got to understand that. So they already have a different mindset and emotion to it than most of us do. And that is a part of this. And it's not wrong at all. That's just, you got to understand, not everybody grew up a diehard Notre Dame fan. I never want to look at another team. That's the fans, not a lot of these guys. Okay, so that's number one. But so far, is this that wild of an amount of guys going to the portal from Notre Dame? Really? Or is this reaction because everybody's mad about the offense and confused about the Stuckey-Parker dynamic? And then you see offensive guys and wide receivers, and it all feels a lot worse than it is in reality. That's the tough part to try and navigate here. And there's all this confusion and overall frustration with the offense. And then you're wondering, did the right coach assistant leave? Or did they both have to leave? Or did none of them have to leave? Or the other one had to leave and Stuckey stay? There's all that going on in your brain. So is this all normal, or are you seeing actual like red flags beyond the pale of what's normal? It kind of depends who you ask, I guess. Kind of depends who you ask. I can verify from Goolsby's and my sources. His are a lot higher up than I am and don't particularly have a dog in the fight, unlike some of the other sources involved here that have a dog in the fight. Okay? I could tell you it's more than just a little. It's more than the normal thing. Notre Dame's having a rough time. Marcus is having a really long week. Marcus is having a long week. And I am comfortable and confident saying that. Okay, so it's a little bit more than the normal stress that comes with portal time. I can 100% stamp that. Marcus is having a long week. This is not like business as usual in the program, and we're freaking out. It's been a stressful week for Marcus. There's a lot going on and a lot of stressful things that are moving fast. I can verify that 100%. Okay? Here's the other thing. I do feel like you could tell nobody's happy with the offense. You could just feel that, you guys. You could just feel the pulse of that nobody's quite happy with the offense. And when you look at the transfer situation, when you look at that, it just there's just extra strings attached with all the offensive side of it. And on defense, it makes perfect sense. The guys leaving, I think, to me, most of them. But when you're on 3 receivers out and on the verge of maybe a 4th, I'm telling you, I don't like that NIL event was canceled, that autograph signing. He may come back. Rico might come back, but I don't know what's going on now, but something caused that NIL event to be canceled. That's a red flag. It just is. Okay. So I do feel like you could tell nobody's happy with the offense, and that is causing issues. Okay, that seems kind of obvious when you look at what's going on. Marcus Freeman has to figure a way out of this situation and try and find quick fixes like now. Like now. He cannot let things spiral. His decisions must be correct ones, or he's in big, big trouble. Big trouble. And that doesn't matter that, oh, John, you wanted him to get the job or whatever. Whatever. We're in this moment, and I'm saying these decisions he's making better be the right ones, or he's in big, big trouble. It's that simple. Okay? And so when you want to ask, is this amount of transfers that outside of the outlier? No, it is not. It's right within an average range that is not shocking to me. However, I can verify that there's stress with this more than just the normal portal period stress. I'm 100% confident and comfortable verifying that. So it is a long week for Freeman, long week at Notre Dame. Okay. And you have that with the transfer guys. And then I'm going to get into Stuckey specifically here. Number one is, I don't want to skip over this. And I want to throw this out to you before I get into Stuckey a little bit more. Let me throw this at you guys. Riley Leonard, I feel like that story's nothing now because everybody's worried about all this other stuff. I feel like Notre Dame getting a transfer guy should be bigger news, and it's not because all of this stuff's overtaking it. That just is what it is. But I wanted to throw that out to you guys too, and let me know if you want to get away from all the rumors of people leaving and all that stress. Tell me about the guy coming. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Did you want Angeli and Minchie? I want to know what you guys think about that too. And it's getting no attention because all this drama is getting the attention. All right. On to Stuckey specifically. I see questions about this. Hang with me, callers. If you saw the Patreon episode with me and Goolsby and our tweets, he put one out right away and I retweeted and it got a bunch of heat. There are two sides to the popular narrative about why Stuckey is gone. There are two sides to that story. There is the popular narrative that's been out on Twitter and on other podcasts and whatever. There is another side that contradicts a lot of that information, like on the other side of what that would be. And again, for all those details and protected sourcing, Patreon is the place to go for more of those details right out of Goolsby's mouth because he had the top level source, so you let him run with that one. Okay? There is another side to that narrative. All right? So, there is the nobody liked the guy, he was mean to him, blah, blah, it was causing there is that all of that narrative. There is another side to this that contradicts that side. Okay? Now, all I'm saying is be open-minded about it. I'm not telling you got to go, oh, I like John on YouTube, I'm going to believe everything he says and ignore everything everybody. I'm not telling anybody to do that. I'm not putting any pressure on anybody to pick a lane of the narrative they believe. No. That's not what John's doing here. I just want you to be open-minded to the idea that with premium sourcing, there is another side to that narrative. And to be fair to all things Notre Dame and the fans, I'm putting that out there for you just to consider. I am not telling you anybody else is making things up and this. No. It just depends on who your sources are and how they frame the information you get and the reasons why. I trust my sourcing on this directly through my former Notre Dame captain that has a direct line to a lot of people. I wasn't there in the locker room to see and feel all what's going on. I was not there. I just want to be fair that there's another side to the story. Okay? Also, let me ask this. if Stuckey was the problem, just play a logical exercise with me. Play along. If Stuckey was the main problem and nobody liked him and he was mean or whatever, causing division and he was the problem and he was complained about and all that, and he got let go, why are the people all leaving after he got let go? Play it out logically. If Stuckey's the problem and to the point where people were complaining he had to be let go and then he's let go, why are we on the verge of 4 wide receivers leaving after the problem left? Ask yourself that logically. If you're going to complain enough and there's enough rumblings to get the guy fired and then you accomplish that and he's fired, but you still have 3, maybe 4 guys leaving, does that tell you Stuckey was the only problem or the main problem? Or is there bigger stuff in play? So I'm just asking, how does that make sense? If Stuckey was the issue, enough people can think about it. If you were going to complain about wanting Stuckey gone, if you're a player or whatever, whoever's involved, complaining to Freeman, then we need Parker out of here. You would only do that if you wanted to stay at Notre Dame, but felt like you couldn't with that guy here. Otherwise, you would just put your ass in the portal and leave and say, screw Notre Dame and Stuckey's the coach. Who cares? I'm out of here. Right? Think about it. It makes no sense that you would complain that you want him gone and then he leaves and then all you leave anyways. That makes no logical sense in my opinion. If he was the main and the only problem, why would you spend all that time working to get the guy fired and complain about him if you're going to leave anyways? Why waste your time? Just go into the portal. And it won't matter if Notre Dame keeps Stuckey or not. And then you could avoid having awkward conversations with Marcus about it or whatever. Right? If it was all about Stuckey and everybody was happy with everything going on in the offense overall, and then Stuckey leaves, then those guys should be excited to stay and go, let's get the next guy in here and let's play football. That's not what's happening. The problem's gone. And so is 3/4 of the wide receiver room. So make that make sense to me. If you're running with the other narrative that Stuckey's the problem, he's gone, and all these guys that didn't like him are leaving anyways. If that's the narrative. It just doesn't quite add up. It just doesn't quite add up that all lines up. And so I'm not telling people, listen, the sourcing thing depends on where it's coming from, you guys. You know how it is. You're going to get different stories from different people depending on their perspectives and depending on their ego and depending on their skin in the game. There's different levels to this. And I'm not saying it. I just want everybody to know there's another side of this that suggests that whole Stuckey, pin all the problems on Stuckey and get him out of here and then everything's fine with Notre Dame's offense. That's not, I don't think, the reality. And there's a whole nother side to this being considered. And so I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you this or that. I'm just telling you, be open to another narrative other than the popular one you're seeing. Because I trust this sourcing to the top level with the names that it is. And you would too if you knew them. But I can't do that. You need to understand that. But it's been a long week around Notre Dame. I can verify it's been a long week for Marcus. It is above and beyond normal transfer stuff. So I am 100% confident saying he's had a really rough week with a lot going on behind the scenes. Verified, promised, verified. So I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I am telling you this is above and beyond a normal stressful transfer situation. It is. You don't have to believe me. Tell me somebody else told you something else and you want to believe them. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm not into that pissing battle of sourcing and all that. This stuff came to me and Mike, and we're going off of it, and it just is a different side of the story than what everybody else has. Consider it. That's all I'm asking, is before you light Stuckey on fire and just sling all the arrows at him and go, he's the problem, and the internet said it, and now he's gone, we're fine. No. It's deeper than that. Maybe you don't want to hear that. I don't think Notre Dame fans want to hear that. That's the other part of this shit. That's the other part. I think people liked hearing the stories out about Stuckey and the discontent, and it wasn't a good vibe and not nice to people and all that. I think people liked that narrative because it enabled them to go, he's the problem. Now it all makes sense. Get rid of him, and now everything's better. And then when we drop in there, I'm hearing another side to that all these guys didn't dislike Stuckey in that way, and that that's just not the full story. Okay? And so I'm just asking you to consider that there's another story to this. There's another side. That's all I'm asking you to consider. Not asking you to pick which one. You don't have to. Just keep in your mind there are two sides to every story, and sourcing matters. Again, I'm trying to drop lines in the water. Sourcing matters. Okay? Egos are involved. Positioning's involved. That has to be taken into consideration when you're looking at a story. Is the source. What do they have to gain or lose from presenting an angle? What do they have a dog in the fight? You have to consider all of those things. I like sources that are involved, but in a way that it's not, they're involved, but they're not involved. They have no dog in the fight. I like those sources more than sources that have a reason to have an angle. Does that make sense? So just consider it. Callers, I'm coming to you. Okay? Now, not just but others in the Notre Dame media also found Freeman's Monday presser a bit odd and a bit off. And when I did my show, I said the next day, something about that presser seemed weird. There was weird nuance and weird. The messaging was weird. Something was off about it. And on my Tuesday episode, I said that. It just feels weird. That presser was just odd. He didn't even need to have that presser with no games. Number one, with all these moving parts and the transfer portal stuff, he did not have to have a presser Monday at all. And nobody would have batted an eye, and he wouldn't have to answer any questions. So he didn't even need to have a presser at all Monday. I saw it and thought, this is weird, man. This does not sound right. It sounded off to me. The messaging was weird enough that it registered to me as being odd. He did not have to say, I would like all the staff to come back. He had no reason to say that. He set himself up. He didn't do himself any favors there by saying that. And I know it's just coach speak and this and that, but he said it. So Marcus did himself no favors on Monday. He didn't even have to have a presser at all. There was no games. He did not have to do that. So right away, he put himself in a weird position. And then he did not help himself with what he said. Oh, I'd like them all to come back. And then 20 hours later, you fire a guy that surprises people? What the hell's going on here? What the hell's going on here? So the timing and the messaging of all this is incredibly odd. incredibly odd. And I am not the first media outlet to go, that presser was weird and the timing of all this is weird. I've heard that on other podcasts and stuff too. I'm not on an island on that. Okay. So you're telling me Freeman either realized Monday night out of nowhere he had to fire Chansi Stuckey, but Monday morning at 11 he didn't? And this big epiphany hit him that night at dinner? So he either did that, where he really did want everybody to come back, and then that night at dinner he realized, I can't do this, Stuckey's got to go. Or he was already planning to let him go, but then said he would like everybody to come back, putting himself in a trick bag. That makes no sense. Weird, right? That makes no sense. One of those two things has to be true. Freeman meant it, that he wanted everybody to come back, and then 5 hours later changed his mind Monday night. I find that hard to believe. Or number two, he already knew he was going to do this and then messed up in the presser and said, I'd like everybody to come back. And then 20 hours later fires a guy. Unforced errors by Marcus there. He did not even have to do that press conference and put himself in that situation. But what he said did not help his case anymore. It did not help his case. He complicated things and put himself in a corner. Not ideal. The timing is weird. The timing is weird. I don't like that. Something is off with all this. And then there's the bigger picture. Was Stuckey even the biggest problem with the offense? Like, we're in all this drama. Callers, I'm going to give you your time. We're in all this drama and worried about the immediacy of all this. Then there is the bigger picture. Was Stuckey even the biggest problem with the offense? I think he was a plus recruiter and he inherited the worst position group on the team. I don't think. Listen, let me put it to you this way. Did the wrong guy get let go? Should both have been let go? Did anybody have to be let go? Is there a possibility Parker goes after the bowl game and then a new OC comes in and then brings his wide receiver coach and this all makes sense in a way in a few weeks? I don't think it's likely from what I heard. Anybody thinking that might be how this makes it all make sense later? I don't know if that's in the cards or that's I wouldn't bet on that. That's what I'm going to say. But then it comes down to, did the wrong guy let go? Should both have been let go? Did anybody have to be let go? Is there a sense that in some way there's loyalty to Parker, and in a way, there was enough rumblings in the wide receiver room that it's like Chansi Stuckey's going down with this one, and then that's like who we're going to pin this on. Is there that sort of vibe to you at all? Listen, here's what I've been saying. I don't believe anybody in this fan base I didn't see one message when Notre Dame's struggling on offense this year. You got to fire Chansi Stuckey. He ain't getting the job done. These guys aren't producing. They're not getting better. They're not growing. I didn't see anybody mention that all year. And the reason why is he's recruiting very well, I would say, plus recruiter, and reasonable Notre Dame fans understood that he inherited a bad situation and he's trying to dig out of it, and it's not easy. Chansi Stuckey, I want to be very clear. Chansi Stuckey inherited the shittiest position group on the team in terms of numbers, productivity, go-to guys, trusts, guys you could trust, all of that. Other outlets have been hinting at the Stuckey move for weeks. That doesn't change what I'm saying. The people that are working the angles have been working the angles for a while. The people pushing narratives have been pushing narratives for a while. That doesn't change anything. I guess that would prove, though, that if that was on Marcus's mind, it's another reason he shouldn't have said what he said in the Monday press conference. But it doesn't change anything on my sourcing to hear that this has been a few weeks thing. There's narratives being built. There's egos being protected and worked. There's always an angle, you guys. Wake up. This isn't Pollyanna land where everything is as it seems. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. All right? There's egos involved. There's a lot of egos involved from every end. Every end. And it's tough, man. It's tough. On some things, we're going to run with what other outlets say as 100% gospel. And on the ones they're dead wrong on, we're just going to overlook those ones. Be fair, at least. Be fair, at least. There's a lot of stuff that has been reported that hasn't happened, too. Braylon James staying or going? Oh, staying. Talk to the family. He's staying. Nope. Shit changes. Shit changes. I know everybody's trying to do their best job of reporting the information there. Things change fast. Things change fast. I was convinced Braylon James was staying and it was verified and all that. Psych your mind, bro. I'm not blaming anybody for reporting it. I'm just saying things change fast. Things change fast. So here's what else I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap this up and then get the calls. Give you guys some time on the calls, okay? Here's what I'm going to go with. One thing that I've learned about all of this. Listen, I've told you before, I'm much more comfortable reacting to the news than breaking it. That is not a priority of mine. I would rather make sure that the news is what it is and then process it and break it down with you. Breaking the news is not my priority. But when me and my partner both at the same time get a bunch of calls and texts from people going, I see what's out there, and that is not a full picture of what's going on. You guys need to drop something in the water to balance this out, because that's not what is the deal. When you get that, it's just an idea of I want you guys to be open-minded. There's two sides to every story. Okay? And consider the sources. Who has stuff to gain by presenting certain angles? Who doesn't? Here's what I'm going to wrap my monologue up with, and then I'll give the callers your time. One thing I've learned about all of this: coaching searches, NIL, transfer portal, recruiting in general. The more I know, the more sourcing I'm around and have access to by my own means of my growing circle and a former Notre Dame captain that I do business with on Patreon, the more that I'm in that world and connected to that side of it, the more I realize how much there is that goes on behind the scenes with every single one of these things we've talked about. Whatever amount of bullshit you think goes on behind the scenes with NIL and negotiations and recruiting and egos and leverage and every single bit of drama and behind the scenes stuff, however much you think goes on, there's way more. There's way more. Way more. All right? Always keep that in mind. I am blown away by how much goes on behind the scenes with all this stuff. All of it. Nothing is straightforward. I'm telling you, there's layers to all of this shit that's all connected to other layers. All of this. Recruiting, the transfer portal, NIL, who's playing in the bowl and who isn't, all of it. There are 10 layers behind the scenes of bullshit that get wrapped into all of those items. All of them. Just always keep that in mind. None of this, I am seeing this clearly now, the more I'm in this side of it. There is a lot of moving parts behind the scene with all this stuff. It is wild. And some of it's just the way college football is going now. You're not going to stop the NIL negotiations and transfer negotiate, all of this. Bowl, who's playing in or out of the bowl negotiations. There's a lot that goes into all that. I'm just telling you guys, however much BS you think there is behind the scenes, I'm telling you, multiply it by 10. I am astounded. I am absolutely blown away by what's going on behind the scenes with all this stuff. It is so complicated with so many moving parts and layers that all connect to other things that connect to other things. I'm sorry. There's just a lot there. And so there's a lot of moving parts and nothing is ever as simple as it looks. And here's my final thing. My final thing is, I know I said that 4 times. My final thing is, if things don't line up to you and make sense, like logically, if what's happening and then you think about why it's happening and how it happened or whatever, if it doesn't make sense to you, that tells you there's probably a bunch of shit behind the scenes, doesn't it? There's probably a bunch of things going on behind the scenes. If what you're seeing reported doesn't line up logically to you, there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes then that you don't know about. That's your logical conclusion I want you to make. If the moves you're seeing don't all add up, it should register. There's a lot of other shit that we don't know about going on behind the scenes, and that's what's going on this week. Long week for Freeman and Notre Dame. Long, stressful week for Freeman and Notre Dame. It is more. There's more going on here than just a whoa transfer thing, and Notre Dame fans don't like it because players are leaving their favorite childhood team. There's more going on than that. There is. There's a lot of moving parts. And so I am not saying anybody else doesn't know what they're talking about or their reporting is bad and mine's good. No, I'm not playing that game. I'm just presenting another side and asking for you to consider that when you hear things, sourcing matters. And you're going to get things framed from different people, different ways. So I just wanted to drop that line in the water. Just consider it. I'm not saying anybody else's reporting's wrong or they're doing any malfeasance. No, I'm just saying depending on who you talk to, you get a different story. Why is that hard to believe? Why is that so hard to believe? You talk to different people, you get a different story depending on those people's opinion and framing of the dynamics. I don't know why it's that unreasonable to people that people don't all see the situation the same way, depending on their position and role in it all. Why is that hard to believe? But the idea that there's one narrative out there and then another one comes in and it's like, well, that can't be because there was already one on the internet. Why? Grow up. Grow up. There's more than one person that has sources around Notre Dame football, around this media niche, people. Sorry. There's more than one person that has people they talk to. It's healthy. That's how this should be. That's healthy. That's how this should be. Okay? That's how this should be. You should have people trying to figure that out from different angles. That's healthy, and I'm glad we have that in this niche. So God bless everybody trying to source stuff and find angles and do all that. I wish them all the best. But it's perfectly healthy and okay to have multiple narratives. Crying belly, 50 minutes in, still no callers. Tough shit. It's my show. I'll do what I want. How about that? Crying? Go cry about it. I don't care what you want. There's a lot of serious shit going on. And I decided to take the first hour on my own program to talk about it. You don't like it? Go. Don't give a shit. Go. I'm seriously getting sick of some of you keyboard fucking warriors in here. Go. Go. Every single day. 98% of these people are here because they love Notre Dame. And there's got to be that little percentage of you that are in here just digging. Just trying to start shit. Leave. I don't care. But I'm not here to have somebody else that has no skin in this game at all other than to be a troll tell me how to run my own show. Go away. Are you my producer? Do I pay you? You want to come here and you want to produce my show? Screen the callers, help me do all that? Go for it. But I'm not sitting here being told how to run my own show. And what do I got to do? Sit here and everybody that chats something, I got to hurry up and do what they want? Oh, 300 people in here. Everybody tell me what you want me to do next. And I'll try and make sure that I honor what all you want. That's not how this goes. It's my show. I took the first hour to go over shit I think is important. There's a lot going on in Notre Dame land. Okay? There's a lot going on. And it's above and beyond the normal portal thing. What are the exact details? I don't know. There's conflicting reports. Be open-minded. Everybody's doing their best to report what they hear. We are. Other outlets are. Everybody's doing their best here. It's not a big deal. There's conflicting information. Be open-minded to other sides of the story. Couple chats, then the calls. Can't make everybody happy. Can't make everybody happy. I don't want to miss any of these donations. $5 holler. Oh, that's my guy. He's probably all worked up. $20 holler. Eric. John, I watch your Wednesday show on replay. Your mojo's back, baby. Outstanding show, good energy and entertainment. Okay, I'm back to work, player. Eric, thank you very much, man. You're a long-time guy here, and I appreciate you for that. $2 holler from Zach. A lot already made up their minds weeks ago. That's fine. I understand people going with the narrative when there's only one out. I understand people running with the narrative when there was only one narrative because it's the only information you had. Now you have information that says there may be another side to the story. I don't understand why that's hard for people to get. There is not one source that tells people things. There's multiple. Some of them have more reasons or others for why they see things the way they do. I'm just saying, be open-minded. There's more going on here. $5 holler mark one. Hi, John. Did some research. Estimates 3,050 players will end up in a portal. That's crazy. But we should find anybody we want. Problem is the undergraduate limitations Notre Dame has kills a lot of that portal hope for undergraduates. And then the wide receiver thing cracks me up. I always hear, we'll just go get a grad transfer stud wide receiver or two. There are none, genius. There are none. Think about it. If you're a grad transfer dude that's that good of a wide receiver, you're going to the league. You're not transferring to Notre Dame. If you're that good, you're going to the NFL. That's why there's not elite receivers available in the transfer portal market, especially the grad market. Think about it. There's never going to be a baller stud in the grad transfer wide receiver market. They're in the NFL. If they were that good, they're in the NFL. Period. So good luck. Good luck. $5 holler. Willie. Please tell Pat I've never seen the Irish win a single postseason game that mattered, and I'm done waiting for it. I'm losing it here. I already got that one. Beautiful. Looks like I'm caught up. Looks like I got caught up. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to yell like that, but it's just exhausting when it's the same people every single day causing the same problems. And I don't want to be the guy that just blocks everybody who disagrees with me. That's what I get, though, when I play nice and let people be in here that troll me a little bit. That's what I get. And sometimes I just get sick of it. I could do like everybody else, start blocking anybody that disagrees with me, or go into subscribers only mode so no other fans can come troll us when we lose. I could do all that shit, but I don't want to do it. But sometimes people push me too far. Sometimes people push me too far. Telling me how to run my own show is pushing me too far. When you don't do shit, you have nothing to do with it but sit there and get this stuff that I do to entertain you. Don't tell me how to do what I want to do. I'll do what I want to do when I want to do it. God, it's funny. I wish I could. I swear to God, half of these anonymous people, I know how this is. Half of these anonymous people that are trying to get me worked up are probably 487 pounds, connected, melted into their computer chair all day, just finding things to yell at people about, be mean about. You know, that's the other thing. I wonder how many people would act this way if their face was out there, if their name was out there. How many people would say the shit, take the liberties they do here, if your name was everybody out and everybody knew your real name and face, and you had to back up all the things you say? This shit would all be different. If everybody had to be John Kennedy and have their face on the things they say about Notre Dame, it would all be different. It's amazing the balls people have when they have no risk of anybody knowing who they really are and holding them accountable for what they really say. It's wild. And then you get ballsy. There's no risk for some of you people. You get ballsy because you have nothing to lose. No one knows your name. You could say anything you want to me, about the program, about Marcus. Say whatever you want. Nobody's ever going to hold you accountable. So you have a get out of jail free card forever to criticize and ridicule everybody else, and you never have to face up to any of it. That is a troll's existence. That is a troll's existence. It is very, very easy. Very, very easy to run your mouth when no one knows who you are and you're not held to account for any of your statements. Okay? How about this? We're 1 hour in. Let's take some calls. Make everybody happy. Three, 6, 1. Mike, what's going on today?
What's up? I don't know if I want to jump in right now. It's like double dutch. Do I want to jump into this right now?
I know.
So I don't want to rehash a lot of what you said. I agree with a ton of it. One thing, as I'm sitting here looking and listening, the timing of all of it is very awkward, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like you said, there's probably more to it. Something, maybe this is far-fetched, but I'm wondering, the Riley Leonard talk heated up rather quickly, much like it did last year with Hartman. Do you think, again, this is very, come with me here. Do you think that has any impact on the receivers in the sense of we weren't getting the ball with a guy as accomplished as Hartman throughout his career, and now you've got Leonard, who does have some stats, but he's already being talked about. Well, if you get Leonard, you're going to have to change the offense. He's more of a runner. He's this and that. And you got these receivers like, we weren't getting the damn ball with Hartman. Now you're going to bring in Leonard. We can't even work with Minchir and Jelly. I'm out. Like, do you think that plays any role? Because I'm just trying to figure out
why
other additives causing.
My inclination is that it's bigger picture than that. Like bigger picture with the whole operation and offense than just like one guy. That's my inclination, but I can't say that's not a part of it at all. But I do think that it's at a much larger level of thinking about the offense than it is what that one position looks like. So I totally understand the question, and it may be a factor, but I think there's a lot more bigger picture stuff than just all of that hinging on that one transfer guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I just wanted to hear your kind of thought on that, because the other thing that gets me, okay, I get the Merriweather transfer. His effort hurt me personally,
Yeah.
just because I was not gifted with that athletic ability,
Yeah.
but yet I managed to play D3 football and get in games as a freshman. I know it's D3, but I found ways to get open and play, and it was because I gave 100% effort 100% of the time. And you just watch Merriweather. He was, even when he was the front side receiver, he's running like a backside route. It's just, I get it. Okay. James, he didn't really see the field. Okay. I get it. Where my mindset switched was the Rico Flores stuff. He got the most snaps of any receiver, had the most catches of any receiver, played the most snaps as a freshman wide receiver in the history of Notre Dame football, and still, not good enough. I'm out. Like, that's where my antennas went up. Like, okay, what the F is going on?
Now, I want to say this, though, Mike. I don't think Rico is official. My understanding is that he's sitting back in the cut trying to figure out what he wants to do. Now, I understand nothing's official with Rico, but when I know the same guy I hosted that NIL event with Hartman, when I see him cancel his event with Rico, you know there's something going on then. Okay, so if you save this one, it's on the verge. Like it's going to be a big save because there are issues there. But I don't want to act like that's a done deal. Unless something broke, I'm not seeing that he's out leaving for sure. I want to be fair. I want to be fair.
Yeah, no, true and fair. I guess the smoke that came with those reports is where my mindset changed a little bit more, because I could get to a path of understanding for Tyree and Merriweather and James. I can get there. I couldn't with Flores. That was confusing to me. And, you know, the people that say, well, don't worry, you got Cam Williams and you got Gilbert and you got Soldate coming in. That sounds great, but that's not a for sure thing. We don't know that. And then you go back and look at Stuckey. Where I found the most confusion was you made a decision to get rid of Stuckey, who was clearly recruiting that position better than we had in years. He managed to, albeit whatever argument you want to make, fact of the matter, he was able to put 3 true freshmen on the field and contribute and be valuable members of the Notre Dame football team. And you said, yeah, that's not good enough. Let's bring back the guy who we've had ups and downs, lefts and rights, decision upon decision that just didn't make any sense. We're going to keep him around, and we're going to give him more responsibility. I don't get it.
Yeah, and Mike, I feel like everybody's just so frustrated with all of it, and there's no clear answers. Now there's conflicting stories on what's going on, and it's just a matter of, did you fire the right guy, or should they both have gone, or no go, or is like, Mike, nobody was going. You know what the whole problem with this offense is? Chansi Stuckey. And if you just switch him out for another guy, everything will be fine. Nobody thought that. I didn't. That was not in my mind. That guy was hamstrung from the beginning, inherited the worst group depth-wise on the team, recruiting well. You can't expect the world out of freshman wide receivers and lacrosse players. Give me a break. So, like, I don't know, man. It's frustrating.
Well, and that's the thing is, you know, you're right. They're freshman receivers, so you can't expect the world. But if you look at it as the fact they were true freshmen, they did plenty. They did very well for being true freshmen. Okay, let's move that ball forward and build upon that. And whatever you built upon, you just janged it and took out the bottom peg, and everything fell over. And now we're scrambling. And that's what didn't make sense to me. Back to your point, we want to build continuity. And the one spot where we're like, hey, I think we can work with that. It wasn't perfect, but you found a way to get 3 freshmen to contribute as freshmen. You can see the building blocks there, and we're going to get rid of that and bring back the one thing that was the most inconsistent part of our football team that everybody complained about, and it took freaking Twitter people, beat reporters to tell them, hey, try play action, see if it works.
Yeah.
And it worked. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't get it.
It's really, really frustrating. And I feel like the question of why Stuckey, not Parker, or both or whatever is like a big, I don't know, man. And it's a tough dynamic. And I'll say this, Mike, there's a lot of egos involved in all directions. The easiest thing I could say is there is a lot of big egos involved with all this on behalf of all sides. There are just big egos in play and power struggles and narratives. There's just a lot going on. It's so frustrating, Mike. The more I hear every day, all the bullshit going on behind the scenes here, it's enough to make you want to punch yourself in the face. There's so much bullshit, Mike. There's layers and layers and layers of bullshit. Every one of these decisions that we're arguing about today, there's 8 layers of shit connected behind the scenes. Some of it blows my mind how deep some of this stuff goes that I don't think has to. It's wild, man. There's just nothing. I'm telling you guys, nothing is straightforward as it seems. Whatever you see, there are 9 layers of shit behind it to get to that point. It is blowing my mind this week to hear some of the stories I've heard of what is going on behind the scenes, including everything: recruiting, NIL, transfer portal. Who in the hell feels like playing in the bowl game we're going to be in and not? That's already something else brewing behind the scenes. Rough week at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I love you though, Mike. I love you, Mike. I wasn't yelling at you. I was just yelling at the situation. I love you, dog. I wasn't yelling at you. I'm just yelling at the situation, man. I'm sorry about it.
Oh, hey, I'll never take that personally or be offended. The transfer portal thing, I keep seeing, hey, calm down. Transfers happen everywhere. Look, Notre Dame is still one of the lowest announced transfers in the country. Blah blah blah. The problem is, it's fine if it's a defensive lineman here, a secondary player there, a backup. We're losing half of an entire position group. That's a problem. That's why we're blowing up. That's why we're freaking out. That's why we're asking so many questions. That's why we're so confused. It's not just a guy here and a guy there and it added up to whatever number. It's the fact that they're all from the same spot and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But one thing, another thought is, okay, you got rid of Stuckey. You moved Parker to the wide receivers temporarily, but go a little tinfoil hat here. Is there a possibility they move Parker to wide receivers, albeit you're still getting this mass exodus, but to keep him with wide receivers and tight ends and bring in a more accomplished, seasoned, proven OC? Like, is that a reality? Is that even a possibility?
Yeah. I think Parker's Freeman's guy, and I think he's going to double down on it. I would not expect anything to change with that the rest of the way. I'd be surprised if it did at this point.
See, and that just it just has so many questions. And the reasoning, I'm sorry,
Mike, I asked I asked a bunch of different people that and said, is it a possibility that like after the bowl game or whatever that you get rid of Parker and then you get the OC wide receiver combo? And I was told, don't bank on it. It seems like Parker's Freeman's guy. I don't know. So maybe that changes. I don't know the way things are going. Maybe it changes, but I wouldn't bet on that. I don't know.
Well, and here's my problem with keeping Parker. I've already discussed the confusion on firing Stuckey and what's happening. And you got to, the wide receiver coach just became the priority over the strength coach, in my opinion. But that's another topic for another day in terms of who's out there. But the reasoning behind Parker staying from Freeman, me and my dad had a long talk, and I much like you just kind of yelled, and I just happened to be on the other end of the line. My dad was the victim of that for me. Is Freeman compared Notre Dame to Cincinnati for starters in the sense of, well, Luke Fickell kept me around. I'm like, yeah, because it's Cincinnati, not Notre Dame. Of course you're going to get a second shot at Cincinnati. Then he's like, well, look, I gave Golden a second chance. Yeah, because Golden had decades of proven success.
Yeah.
He's been a head coach. He's done it. And you could see all the minor missteps that were highlighted from Golden first.
Yeah, you're
year,
right. You're right.
You could see where it was going.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I've thought of that the same way you did with those comparisons. They're nothing alike. Golden had 30 years of documentation that shows once he gets things set, you're going to have a pretty good defense. And also, I agree with you. Even last year when we were frustrated with the timing of the defense not always looking right, you could at least see the structure and bones of what he was trying to build. You cannot say you've seen what the offensive idea was trying to build on this year. You cannot say that. So those are totally different, and I'm with you. Bad comparison for people saying, bad comparison. You're right.
Yeah, because with Parker, I mean, I dare someone to tell me every game looks similar to another game in the Notre Dame calendar. It didn't. Every game looked different. Like, I played football. I played college football. Your offensive identity is damn near the same game in, game out. Defensively, you have to adjust to the opponent's offense. But it seemed like we were doing the opposite. We're changing our offense week in, week out based on who we're playing. And that's not going to get you anywhere. And that's why you get what you got. And we're bringing that back.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it's just tough. It's tough. And so I don't know, man. We all want answers we're not going to get. Yeah. And we all want reasons we're not going to get. Like, it's just the way it is. But there's just a lot of frustration, Mike. Yeah. And people just want to know how we ended up here and what's going on. And they're not clear answers. It's very, very frustrating.
Exactly. That's my
Mike.
My issue
Mike,
is
what do you make of Freeman getting up there unnecessarily saying he hopes everybody comes back on the staff, and then within 20 hours he fires a guy, and there's a statement that comes out that we weren't getting enough out of that group? That does not make any sense to me. Why would he set himself up that way? It makes no sense. He didn't have to do any of that shit. He didn't even have to have that press conference. And then when he did have the press conference, all he has to say is, when he gets asked about the staff or whatever, all you had to say, Marcus, is just like every staff in America, we're always looking to get better. And, guys are going to look at opportunities, and we're looking to get better if we can too. And that's always an ongoing, always an evaluation process we do this time of the year. All he had to say was some coach speak bullshit. Like, we're always looking to have the best coaches, and we're open to look. We're looking at everything. Even something like that comes off a lot different than, I want everybody to return, and then 20 hours later you fire a guy. That's weird to me, Mike. Unforced error.
Exactly. I don't. He lied. I don't know why. But let me ask you this: how different would this whole situation be?
I know.
I know this.
Go ahead, do it.
This is hypothetical.
Go ahead and do it.
It's hypothetical. If Stuckey got another opportunity elsewhere, regardless whether it's a lateral move to another team in the college football world, found an NFL job, just imagine how different the reaction would be from the players. And I keep thinking about that, and I feel like if Freeman really wanted to part ways with Stuckey, it could have been handled in a much different way that was more accepting. Whether that's the reality, he got another job, it just could have been handled so much better. The only way Freeman saves face on this whole thing is I hate to say this, but you hear some cockamamie story that, some legal issue. I don't want to name names as far as historical issues, but some over the top, like, okay, yeah, you got to get rid of that guy.
Yeah,
that's the only way.
And I am not, there's none of that's been a part of anything I've been involved in or heard at all. Just to be clear, I've not heard anything other than like egos and personalities and internal battles about messaging is more what I heard. Nothing deep like that. This is more surface level, dumb bullshit, kind of.
Yeah. So the whole falling apart of the wide receiver room and coming up one day and the very next canning a guy and all this, just there had to have been a better way to address this.
Yeah.
The only salvation is that we may have 3 studs coming in to replace the guys we're leaving, but that's number one. They're not on campus yet. They still got to go through the whole recruitment.
Yeah. Well, they probably want to know who their coach is too.
That's why wide receiver coach now became the priority.
Yeah.
It's no longer the strength guy. Forget that's still important, but you now have an active fire that needs to get put out.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Listen, I understand some people are saying, listen, it's just a stressful time of the year and Notre Dame fans are sensitive to the transfer. I can verify it has been a long, stressful week in the building at Notre Dame. This is not run-of-the-mill business as usual portal season. There are some extra stressors and tension and things going on that are making it a tough place to be. So I know that's a fact and I'm just putting it out there. I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I would like to tell people that I've heard things aren't stressful behind the scenes and we're overreacting, but I'm giving you what I got. And it has been a stressful week for Freeman. Okay. Everybody just know that. So there's more going on than the regular portal time stress. Mike, you got anything else? I want to make sure I give everybody a voice here.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you giving me the time. The last thing is just we got enough of the negative portal stuff. We just need some more positive portal news because that's the next evolution of this whole thing. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, John.
Hey, Mike, have a good one, buddy. Have a good weekend, man. Have a steak and a beer or something. Get your mind off football. Relax with your lovely family, okay?
Yes, sir.
Have a good one. Oh, 502 wants to address elephant in the room. I got Pat on here. Rodney's coming up. He's been waiting a while. 615 as well. We're going to get to you all. 502, what do you want to do?
All right, John. Thanks for taking my call. Make this quick because I got people waiting. First elephant in the room is I think Marcus is still in fake it till you make it mode. And just these last few days just kind of reiterate that. I don't know if that's going to get any better. If what I'm keeping an eye on is golden. If it truly is a shit show there in that organization, you'll see him leave. If he stays, I think that's positive.
Interesting. And from what I gather, I'm not hearing any drama or smoke on the defensive side at all. Like, I'm not. You had your guys transfer that were depth guys that probably saw the writing on the wall. I'm not going to start or be able to do as much as I wanted. That's understandable to me. I'm not hearing none of the stuff that I've been dealing with has anything to do with the defense at all. I have not heard any bad stuff or more coming on the it might, but I haven't heard any of that. It has all been offensive side issues, which I think is of note when you look at the year and where the frustrations land. I don't think it should be surprising that it ends up there's some frustration after the season with the offense, and that's what we're going through.
Got it. And then the biggest elephant, in my opinion, in the room is we will never be able to compete at an elite level. That's because of admission requirements. It is so difficult to get into that school, and I just don't think we can compete. And until that changes, I just don't see how we can compete with elite schools. How do you feel about that?
Here's what that's a good question. Here's what I've said about that. And I mean this. I think there's a lane for Notre Dame to do it, but that lane is really, really narrow. And it requires a whole lot of things to kind of come together perfectly to be able to get there. And it's got to be like all these circumstances have to all line up just right. And the odds of that happening are rarer at Notre Dame than they are other places because of all the extra challenges. So that's my thought. I could see a path, but Notre Dame's path to that is significantly smaller to navigate than most big-time football places. That's kind of how I see it. I'm not saying there's no chance ND could do it again, but they need a lot of things to go a lot better for them and more precisely perfect for them than a lot of other places do. They do not have the margin for error that a lot of these football factories have. So for them to do it, everything's got to line up right. And it's going to be harder for them to navigate that skinny path when others have a wider path. Does that make sense? Does that sound fair?
It does, but I have 2 kids that go there, and it's not easy to get into. Now,
yep, you're right.
I've mentioned in the past that the basketball program has made some changes.
Yep.
Maybe the ADs
yep.
kind of leaning their way. So
yep.
I don't know anything about that. You may know.
Well, you got to tell me.
They're going to do it.
Hey, you got to tell me. Why can Shrewsbury pull guys onto the undergrad portal to fill out the basketball roster, but I can't get a handful for Marcus on the football field? Go find a couple. I just want to see that open up a little bit on the football end too.
Of course, it's only fair. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's there. It's just there's a lot of moving parts right now, and it's just very, very frustrating. And what else is interesting, man? Think about this. We're where we're at in our minds right now, doing all this. And then we're a few days away from maybe them announcing, oh, by the way, you're playing Brian Kelly in the bowl game. So you think there's a lot of stuff going on. Now wait till you add that maybe on top of all this. Oh, my word. My head's going to fall off my body.
Yeah, interesting times. All right, I'll let you go.
Hey,
Thanks.
have a good one, man.
Weekend,
have a good
John.
weekend. You take care, sir. Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. All right. I want to give everybody a chance. We're going to have to move a little quicker, and that's on me, but that's just how it goes. When you get into one of these where there's a lot of shit going on, you don't know how it's going to go. Rodney, what's going on, buddy? I'd love to know what you think on this. And then I got Pat, I got a 615, and Andrew, I want to get you all. What's going on, Rodney?
Oh, man. It's just so many thoughts, synapses within the brain and the collective brain just keep going off and flying in all these different directions.
Do we have any collective brain cells? Do we have any collective brain cells left? I don't think I do. Mine are all burnt out.
Well, I think we have the most resilient collection of brain cells. And you think of all this.
Yeah.
Isn't this just par for the course? Of course. I can't really remember an offseason. Now, getting Hartman, sure, but that I don't remember exactly when that was announced. But, John, doesn't it just kind of make sense when you think about it? Everybody jumping off the cliff. Obviously, if everybody came back, that would be status quo. Someone's going to be excited about that. I mean, you're going to be like happy that happened. But, of course, the only place you have to go is down because Notre Dame is a stable program that prides itself on culture and positivity and, doing it the right way. They're not going to go announce transfers coming in before they have transfers that are obviously going out. So, of course, this is going to be the worst of it. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have, thoughts on all this, of course. But I'm just saying, of course, the worst of it's going to be right away. This always happens at Notre Dame. It's always right after the season, immediately.
Yeah.
You might hear about a Hartman later or the rumblings throughout, but it's always right after the season. You get this bad news.
And the numbers, but the numbers alone are not that bad. The amount, it's 7 guys, I believe, right now have entered the portal. That is right within the normal range. That's within the normal range of like most other schools and even Notre Dame. And they got to get under that scholarship limit. Some guys are going to have to leave, like that part. But it's what it's all connected to that is causing the problems.
Well, no, I get that, and of course, it's the wide receivers. I mean, the wide receiver position, just on its own, is the most fickle position in college football. It just is. That's the ones that you get the most decommitments, transfers, all that. It's set up to be that kind of a prima donna sort of position. That's just a very baseline way of looking at it.
Rodney, there's a lot of egos involved with the wide receiver room. There's a lot of
and I think it's the
ego.
nature of the position. I'm not saying that about the person or individual themselves. It's the nature of the position. It kind of has to be that way. So you're going to get the badness. You're going to get the negatives of that too, along with, hey, throw me the ball. I'm someone that wants to, everybody wants to see people that want to step up. But the problem is, there's going to be the downside of that ego too, and we're seeing that. I'm going to be honest with you. The Tyree thing, I assumed he was gone, but for a completely different reason, John. I forgot about the COVID year, about everybody getting an. I'm like, he's played 4 years. He's graduating. He's gone. He has no eligibility remaining. I just assumed he was off to the NFL. So when I heard he was leaving, I was like, wait a second. We could have had him another year? And I'm like, then it did disappoint me because, oh, man. Well, I'm not going to go on. That's for another call because, I mean, I just don't think they used him the way he needed to be used as a flanker.
Yeah. That
type of way. And they just put him in this box. And I really think good things would happen for him. That's the one that disappoints me. Merriweather, I would have bet in the off that he was not going to be coming back. At midway through the season, like, he's gone.
Yeah.
I think he would have developed into a good receiver, but that is not surprising at all. And if you told me there was another one leaving, I would be, Braylon James, of course. He is a talented guy that didn't really play much his first year. Cam Williams, these other two guys coming in. He's like, okay. I mean, just on knowing nothing about him or what's going on behind the scenes, that just made sense to me. So I'm just saying, while first of all, of course, it's going to be right after the season, of course, because that's when these guys, before you can get the good stuff to come back your way with, possible national signing day. Good news there. Theoretically, we stay in the top 10 recruiting, whatnot. Then you find out what transfers might want to come here. I mean, it's kind of evened itself out, man. And of course, because of what we saw going on all year long and just rumblings and everything, of course, if there was going to be any drama, it makes sense. It would be on the wide receiver end of things. So I'm not surprised.
But I think the part people are struggling with is, and I'm struggling with it is, I don't know if a lot of the offensive problems had to do with just Stuckey or just Parker or both combined. Like, is anybody convinced whoever the new wide receiver coach is, the offense is going to be way better next year with Parker still there? Like, trying to find the cause of all these issues and the blame percentage of where this is going wrong, or why not both of them are fired? Like, there's a lot of moving parts. I don't know, man.
Absolutely, John. And that's the thing. I was thinking to myself, okay, now let's look at the three that are leaving. Tyree, in my opinion, this year, and I'm not putting, some of it's on him. He dropped a couple big time passes. He also fumbled a couple times, but he also had some great plays.
You know what else with Tyree?
I love his attitude.
Tyree was never maximized to get the most out of his God-given gifts at Notre Dame ever. I never felt like they used him in the right way.
I totally agree, man. I didn't think
as a running back,
as a
running back. As a running back and a
really
wide
believe
receiver.
That he's making a good decision. For Tyree, I have to say, and I like the guy too, man. I think he's going to get his Notre Dame degree. So for him, he's a graduate transfer. I don't blame anybody for leaving. I mean, you want him to come back, but I'm not blaming him at all. Merriweather, again, another one. It's like, we don't know really what was going on, because obviously there was a fit, something didn't fit. So that makes sense. So that's not even surprising. And Braylon James, it's like, we didn't really know you anyway. And that sucks, don't get me wrong, because, I've heard things about him in practice, but I've never really seen it, But, we got Cam Williams and the other two guys, I can't remember their names right now, coming in. And, so it kind of makes sense. It sucks, but it kind of makes sense. My whole thing is what you just said, John. Is it Parker? And because the guys that left, it was Parker's offense where they weren't being utilized the way they thought they should. So the fact that, at least we haven't heard anything about Greathouse, we haven't heard anything about Jaden Thomas, we haven't heard anything about, you mentioned Flores and that whole thing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to come out and ask you, John. I want to make this very clear. I'm not asking you to go on record or just your gut feeling. What do you think it is?
I'm
just asking for an opinion.
I just think it's really, really complicated, where there are a lot of moving parts, upset people, egos involved. And something had to give, and the momentum shifted over to it being Stuckey for different reasons. And I'm just not sure all of those are 100% fair, if that makes sense.
And
feels a little scapegoaty.
That's totally fair.
It feels a little scapegoaty. And Parker's our guy. We're going to keep him, but we know we got to do something. We're getting this pressure. We got some, everything's not great in the wide receiver room.
So basically, John, you're saying it's complicated. It's not one thing. It's a few different things.
Really, really complicated.
That makes sense, John. That makes sense because here's the thing, and this is what I'll end with. Okay.
Dude,
again,
hold on. Time out for 1 second. Now I'm going to get mad again. Luke Holtz, troll to the 10th degree here, saying anything but Freeman is John's answer. I went through my monologue, and a big part of it was saying Freeman's got to figure all this out, not let things spiral. It's getting away from us a little bit, and he's got to tighten it up. I don't know what else you want me to say to address Marcus's role in all this. I directly said he cannot let this spiral anymore. He's got to make big boy decisions in the correct ones, and it's his obligation to get this right, or he's going to be a DC again real freaking fast. I don't know what else you want me to do on the accountability side. Go ahead, Rodney. Son of a bitch.
I'm sorry.
It's enough to make you lose your mind
God.
being in here. Look at me. I'm pitting out. I'm losing my mind today.
Oh, that was great. I agree with you, though. I mean, I agree with that 100%. That's what's so funny about it. Okay, hear me out on this, man, because I think this is an optimistic end to this call because I don't think it's really – again, the name Tyree bothers me the most. Because I didn't know we were going to have him anyway. And then I found out, he actually has another year remaining?
Oh, that's really funny, though. Dude, that's really funny, though, that you're like, I wasn't even counting on having him anyways. But now that I found out we couldn't, I can't. Now I'm mad. I like that. I like that. Yeah. It was an extra free dessert you didn't know you were entitled to. I like that. That's good.
So, we just got to see what they do with that room, man. But here's the thing, man, going back to the stability of the program. I remember talking about that. And actually, John, I was the one person that said, this might be Stuckey's. This might have something to do with Stuckey. But I didn't know what. I didn't know if it was because of his development, his coaching, or just the liaison being broken between him and Parker. Like, there's just not a chemistry there. Yeah. Whatever it is, that room, it's weird because the young guys are playing well. The guys that were veterans didn't seem to be improving. So there's something going on there. Okay. But I said stability of the program. Okay. We talked about that during this NIL transfers, all this new way of college football. The programs that have stability are going to be the ones that I think have a leg up because team chemistry is something you can't teach. You have it, you don't. It gets brought up through culture and through consistency. Notre Dame has a leg up on a lot of programs like this. And we're looking at Michigan across the way, right, up north. And and I even mentioned them. I remember when I brought this up a couple of years ago, I said it's going to be teams that that have that, those Midwestern values, which don't have to just be in the Midwest, by the way, but you know what I'm saying, that are going to, I think, find that they're going to be the ones that are going to rise. It's going to actually, in a way, create parity, not just through talent, but because guys are moving, all over the place. You don't know if you're going to be able to have that chemistry. So, and Notre Dame being the type of school it was very smart for Freeman to emphasize defense and special teams. And so far, if you can emphasize defense and special teams, you can raise the floor to where you can be an 8-4. I'm just saying, just based on that, 8-4, 9-3, 7-5 worst. If you emphasize offense and not defense, you're very likely to, you might get the high end, but you're very likely to have 3-8, 4-8, 5-7 type of years if your defense stinks. So with all this going on, guys, be happy that we have Al Golden. God, I hope he stays. Be happy that special teams has really played well for 2 years straight now, because that will at least keep us in a position where, this stuff sucks.
There's the bright side. There we go. We got a little bit of a bright side, man. Look at it that way.
Well, what I mean is, John, is he's raising the floor. He's raising the floor at Notre Dame. I know it sounds weird because he's lost some big games, won some big games. But what I mean by that, Kelly had it at a certain level. He did find consistency. Kelly found consistency. but there was a certain ceiling that we knew we were going to hit with him. And what Freeman's done is he's raised that bottom end. You know, it's like under Kelly, there's all those 8 and 5 years. I think we can be at the point now where if we emphasize defense and special teams, this is the best defense they've had since the 2012 season, in my opinion. Other than a couple games.
They gave up 9.6 points a game that year, and it's like 16.9 now in the modern era, the way the game's changed.
Here's the thing, John. Here's the thing.
It's a waste of a great defensive year. It's a waste of a great defensive year.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think when a guy returns a ball for a touchdown, if he gets into the end zone, that should be 7 points taken off the defense's allowed points for that game.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. It should be that way for everybody.
And I guarantee Notre Dame would have been in the top 3 or 4 teams if that was the case. They would have been one of the top 3 or 4 in scoring defense because they had a lot of those.
Yeah.
So anyway, John, I'll leave you at that. But I just think that Freeman has raised the floor. We just got to figure out the top end and get that nuance figured out, man. And, you know, it's not, again, sky's not falling. It kind of makes sense when you think it through.
Yeah.
When you think about the season, Stuckey's gone now, of course. I hate it, but like I said, I thought Tyree was gone anyway. I thought he was going to the NFL. I didn't know he had another year remaining.
Yeah. Well, I don't know,
talking about that all year. I don't remember anybody saying that all year.
I feel, I'm with you, man. But you know what, Rodney? I want to give you credit. You at least dropped some positivity in there and a bright side. And I think
it's realistic too, though, John.
I
don't think
personally
it's just
needed that
for the sake of positivity. I think it's realistic.
I needed that. So thank you just for giving me a little dose of that. Have a good weekend, man. Don't let it stress you out. Watch some football tomorrow. Relax, okay?
Oh, I can't wait for Saturday, man. Yeah, man. Have a good one. Bye.
Have a good one. We'll see you. Oh, man. You know what else is in the mix here too? I mentioned this earlier. I want to mention it again. Remember how I said with everything going on in the ether now, there's 10 layers behind it? You wouldn't believe the bullshit going on behind the scenes right now, figuring out who wants to play in Notre Dame's bowl game and who doesn't. I was astonished to hear some of the stories I'm hearing about this bowl game and who's prepared to play in it or not and why. Some of it makes perfect and logical sense. Some of it, I was taken aback, like, really? Like, even something like that, you would be surprised what's going on behind the scenes to try and figure out who wants to play for Notre Dame and who doesn't in this bowl game. It's been a long week. There's a lot going on. Andrew, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, John? How are you?
Oh, just a boring off-season show here. Nothing to talk about. No news. I'm hoping there's a story to break so I could find something to talk about, Andrew.
You have to admit, Notre Dame, for someone who mainly just covers one team, Notre Dame, although I know you talk a lot at college football, Notre Dame does give you a lot of content. You have to admit that.
I have said many, many times before, you could not do this for every team. There has to be enough people that are in it year-round enough that care about all this stuff to that level to make it work. Notre Dame's the gift that keeps giving. There's always something, Andrew. Always something.
Well, hey, I'll be quick because I know you're getting close to, checking or stopping the show. But hey, the big thing that I wanted to talk about today, and I was going to call and talk about the ND press about their total lack of ability to investigate anything.
Andrew,
I mean, it's ridiculous. Still don't. Yeah,
they're in such a tough spot, and I told you this before. The more I'm getting into this, the more I realize the difficult position those guys are in. It's very, very tough. If it is the buddy circle, man. Everybody knows everybody. It's one huddle of the same people. Usually they all have relationships with Notre Dame's PR team. Everybody's on a first name basis. They all know each other. If you're going to be the one in there nailing Freeman on a bunch of shit, you're asking for trouble with Notre Dame PR, with your access, how nice they play with you. There is an unspoken back and forth there that all of those guys have to navigate. And I have more respect for how challenging that is now than I ever did before I was in this. If you are the one that's going to start nailing stuff, it's going to be a rough road for you and your outlet for access and information and Notre Dame playing nice with what you need to do your job. It is really tough.
Yeah, and hey, I totally understand that, and it takes a brave person. But I what I would just end on, and because I want to get to one other point before you go, is that without getting into politics or anything, but why is it that the New York Times was able to break so many stories on the Trump administration? And the answer to that, I think, is a lot of times people who know that the news reporter is an adversary, they want to try to win you over. And I think that a lot of ND press should consider that when they're being so sycophantic, that if you do take sort of an honest, possibly negative approach, you may end up getting scoops that other reporters don't get because they want to try to win you over. They want you to fall in line and write positive articles about them. So, and all I can say is that growing up in San Diego, the number one sports columnist in San Diego was a guy named Nick Canepa. He's retired now, but he never hesitated to write very stiff pieces against the San Diego Chargers, who were really the only game in town.
Yeah.
And he was able to get scoops because he was a fair, no BS guy. And I bet you the Chargers would try to win him over. So I think there's something to be said about writing honest commentary, being fair, but not being afraid to criticize people. So.
Yeah. And you know what else is hard is if you're a national college football writer, I think it would be harder to get good sourcing because you're not linked to one team building those inroads as your full-time job, but you're, all covering all the big stories. So I believe if you were like a national writer, it would be harder to get sourcing, but easier to tell the truth because they're not tied to Notre Dame in any way. If it's a national guy that has a scoop, he don't give a shit. He's not in Freeman's Monday presser on it before the weight game. Like those guys have more freedom because they are not beholden to Notre Dame in the way that the people that have to be in there all the time are. It's a very, very tricky spot, man. It's just, if you want to go hard and ask stuff, the PR lady in the corner is giving you the side eye, and you're going to have a tough time from then on. They almost got you. Just, you know what? Be done with the pressers then. Put out a thing saying who's injured and who isn't.
I agree.
Can we be done with all this bullshit and just say who's healthy? Yeah. Who is it? And then have Freeman give his a paragraph about the goal for the week or whatever, and just end it there because we're not getting realities here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the greatest indictment is if there truly was this major rift with Stuckey, which I'm not saying that there wasn't. You know what I mean? Then how is it that not one outlet caught onto this during the season? I mean, it's just obviously they're either lazy or they're just writing whatever Freeman wants them to write. So that's yeah.
Man,
go ahead.
It's tough. It's just tough. And some information that was there about issues, some of it is it's filtered through different lenses because of the people that are involved, and it makes it hard to gauge things neutrally. I just suffice it to say, Andrew, on the offensive side, there's a lot of stress right now, like top to bottom, man. It's been a stressful week. I don't know, man.
Yeah. And so my main point is, and I feel like sometimes I'm coming off like I'm anti Marcus Freeman. I really am not. I really want Marcus Freeman to succeed. I'll admit, I wanted Luke Fickell to be the head football coach, but when 2021 was happening, where Kelly was going to leave, I admit I got swept up in all the excitement of like the players and the social media really pushing for Freeman, and I was really happy for him when he got the job. But I do think it's important to hold people accountable, especially be held accountable for why somebody was hired to do a job. And one of the biggest reasons why Marcus Freeman was hired, and the reasons given by either Jack Swarbrick or anybody covering Notre Dame, was that this guy was the ultimate player's coach. And that unlike a detached Brian Kelly, who ran the team much more like an executive who really wasn't able to connect with players, this guy was going to, do a great job on the recruiting trail, number one. But number two, be able to like create an atmosphere where, where he was just much more in touch with the players. And so I feel that this exodus / mutiny in the wide receiver room really kind of flies in the face of that, because like, I'm not saying that I'm not even trying to make a comparison to Brian Kelly. I'm just really grading Freeman on the reasons why he was hired, and how is it possible that the room, out of any of the position group room, the room that we could not afford something like this to happen, happened under Marcus Freeman's watch, seemingly out of nowhere. That is a stinging an indictment on the idea that Freeman is this major players coach who has the pulse of the team. So I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Because, if this was any other room, maybe we can understand that, this could happen. But the wide receiver room was the room we could at least afford this to happen.
I believe that is a fair critique of you to say, do you have a proper and up to the second accurate pulse on what is going on there and where we're all at and all that. And it just feels to me this got away from us a little bit, and that is a problem. That's a fair critique.
The other red flag that I think that it's worth discussing is, in moments of crisis, I think people have a tendency to create an inner circle. And you see this in business all the time. You see this in politics, and you certainly see this in college football, where people surround themselves with not the best coaches, but sycophants, coaches that you feel that you can trust and that that are beholden to you, rather than hiring the best coach for the job. And it's understandable, because college football is a major industry. It's like running a Fortune 500 company. You're always looking over your shoulder. And so you feel like you got to have an inner circle that is beholden to you, maybe not the best coaches, but people that you can trust. But I think when you do that, you run the risk of having bad coaching, and you run the risk of not getting your 100% accurate information. And I think that this might be in play here. When you elevate Parker, a guy who's your boy, and then you bring in a guy like Gino Caduli, who is your boy, who maybe not doesn't really have much of a resume, I think it's not that surprising that this stuff happens. And so what I would like to really review is, who does Marcus Freeman bring in to be the strength coach? Who does Marcus Freeman bring in to be the wide receivers coach? If they're people that are a part of his so-called coaching tree, people that are his friends, I think it's going to be a major red flag. I think you go out a real team, like a team like Alabama, a team like Georgia, they're going to go out, and if they have an open position, they're going to go out and they're going to hire the best guy for the job. And so we should really monitor what Marcus Freeman does here.
Yep. It's really going to be interesting. And it's complicated. It's really complicated. And then I go back to, Andrew, I don't want to make this about this, but it's my belief Parker was number 3 on the desired OC list. And I do think that's worth mentioning. He was number 3, legitimately number 3. And I just want to be fair and mention, we tried to go 2 other ways before it ended up going down this path. And I can't help but wonder if we'd be in a different position if we did end up another way. But these are the decisions made. Well, now you got to get it right. You got to figure out how to get this right.
Hey, the one thing to consider, and I hate to push back on you, but I think you should consider this.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Well, Pete Sampson did confirm this to me, because he has like a little show where you can sort of like ask a question and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But those people that he looked at, and guys like Colin Klein and Andy Ludwig, I believe Andy Ludwig, have the same agent as Marcus Freeman. And Al Golden, too, has the same agent as Marcus Freeman.
That's an interesting
So it's inner circle. That's inner circle stuff. That's inner circle stuff that that's using people that you feel like you can control and that are invested in you because you guys are sharing the same agent. So I do think that that's important to know.
Now,
So
is there another side to that?
break that.
Is there another side to that? Like, what if, like, you just kind of highlighted kind of the downside of if that's the, what if it's like, I know this guy's work ethic, he'll never screw me. Like, there's a plus side to having be guys that you know too. If you know how they work, you know their vibe, you've seen them interact with the kids before, you know they won't screw you, like whatever it is. But the bottom line is, I don't care what circle it is, just make it a winning one.
Yeah, you know, I think there's always another side to it, right? I mean, we always have a tendency to want to hire people we know and like, and certainly we know the people that work hard and don't work hard around us.
Right.
But I just think of this job, Notre Dame is such an important job, and you only get one chance at it.
Yeah.
And so you've got to have the right balance between people you can trust, and as well as having the best people for the job.
Yeah.
Like a hire like Dalen McCullough, that's a hell of a hire. That's an NFL running back coach who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Al Golden, you know, that's a heck of a hire, but you really got to question Parker and Gino Gadoli. And then you got to really analyze, is he making the wide receiver coach hire and the strength coach hire for the right reasons?
Yeah. Yep. Hey, man. Andrew, I appreciate I know how much thought you put into all this, man. There's just a lot going on. And I want to mention this on the way out. All of this is because everybody involved here just wants Notre Dame football to be good. And we just have different opinions on how to get there and the path there and the people in play. But we're all on the same page. Ultimately, we just want Notre Dame to be good and then debate how to get there. And that's healthy. Andrew, I appreciate your discourse as usual.
Awesome. Well, hey, next time I call in, I'd love to talk about Riley Leonard and why I think it's a good thing.
You know what? I like that, Andrew. And then maybe we'll get through this period of news cycle, and then we'll be in a better position to do that. Call back because I want to do that with you, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, John. Have a good one.
Yep, have a good one. I got a couple more callers here. You're both going to get in. 615-765 will be the final two. Also, update for everybody else. I got my text from Goolsby. We have more stuff to talk about, more phone calls being made. We're going to do a Patreon later on this evening to update some of the information and see where we're at. So we're going to do that too. So if you enjoyed that and wanted to jump on board, now's the time. I don't understand some of these people. I just don't understand it. Look. John will lose his YouTube channel and USA Today gig if he says anything bad about Freeman. I don't know what to say. How would that even happen? Like, I'm sorry, but some of this stuff's starting to get to me a little bit. And you just reach a breaking point with some of this dumb shit. How would I lose my YouTube channel? There's no one else involved. I say whatever I want to say. So I would definitely not lose my YouTube channel. I say whatever I want to say. I am the only person involved. So wrong. USA Today. I got that job because they like that I say whatever I want to say and am not beholden to anybody and have strong opinions on things. No. That's why I got the USA Today job, is because they said we need people who don't write just fluff stuff and have opinions on things. I've already said multiple times, Freeman's got to get. I feel like Freeman's losing a little control. Like, I feel like the train's a little off the tracks here. It's his obligation to get it back stable on the right path. Or he's going to be a DC real soon again. Or a head coach somewhere that nobody cares about. So he's got to get it right. He's got to get it right. 615, and I'm going to end with 765. What's up, 615? Make it come alive.
John, I thought we'd have a nice little couple weeks of the off season. We'd ease our way into a bowl game. I think Daniels is going to be gone at LSU, so I'm figuring, we got a good shot at beating Kelly. Next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. We're being drug out of our beds, and we're getting waterboarded by Notre Dame again.
It's just, do you ever sit there and just ask yourself, does this happen everywhere? And we're just more sensitive to it because we're worried about our world. Like, dude, I had a moment where I sat there yesterday. I'm going, wait a second. Does everybody deal with a bunch of this stuff? And it's just, we're more sensitive to it in our little lane. And yes, this stuff goes on everywhere, but there's a lot more with Notre Dame. There's a lot more drama with Notre Dame. Everything's magnified. Every little thing with Notre Dame's magnified, and it makes everything a bigger deal, good or bad.
Yeah, and I think the administration plays a hand in some of this. Couple quick points I wanted to touch on is I think that, when Marcus came in, it wasn't like bringing in a new coach and a coaching staff. Usually what you see is they clean house. The new coach brings all his guys in. There's a great foundation, already good chemistry, and they're off to the races. Well, I feel bad for Marcus because people at Notre Dame, some people didn't think he should be the coach. And they had all these little areas they tried to help him with. And I think they unknowingly set up roadblocks, landmines. And I think this is still some of, I believe, what we're working through. I think some of it's self-inflicted. My own personal opinion is he should have fired Parker. He's hitching his career to Parker, and I think that's going to be a fatal mistake. Look, we all love Marcus Freeman. We all want him to be successful. But he's going to have to make some very tough decisions very soon, or he ain't going to be here past 5 years.
Yeah. These are big decisions. Dude, here's how I look at it. Year one, okay, new excitement, feeling your way out. Everybody has a lot of understanding. Year two is the year to tighten things up and kind of get things more kind of put together. We're running out of leeway here. We're running out of leeway, and he's going to be expected to tighten up this operation very, very quickly. A part of that is he has to make good decisions. And if we find out mid next year our offense sucks again and we can't do anything, and you find out that he made a mistake not letting Parker go for any reason, there's nobody to blame but Marcus. I could give him leeway when the admin messed up Ludwig or whatever and he went with Parker. I could give him leeway on that year, but this is a different situation. This is a different choice. So if he chooses if he doubles down on this and it doesn't work, that's on Marcus, and I can't help him then.
No, you're correct. And look, I've analyzed the next topic I'm going to bring up, and I think it's the next possible landmine for Notre Dame. Okay, and if you look at all the successful teams out there, I'm in SEC country. You look at Alabama, you look at Georgia, okay? What have they done? They've developed a young quarterback that they recruited into the program. Okay, you look at the teams that are in the running for the national championship, okay, which you look at Michigan, young guy, they developed in the program. Okay, then you look at Washington and you look at Oregon. Well, they've got quarterbacks that have been there multiple years that transferred, but they were fairly good on their first year and really good on their second year. Okay? I think the reason why Notre Dame keeps bringing in these transfers is to make up for their shortfalls in coaching. Sam Hartman's the greatest quarterback in the ACC.
So wait. I want to make sure I'm following you. I want to make sure I follow you. Are you thinking like kind of like a shortcut to where you could skip all the development part and then just get a guy later? Is that kind of what you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
I think that's in their mind is Parker is not a good OC. And so if we get Riley, if we get this guy, if we get that guy, they're going to cover up the development of the offensive coordinator. Let's be honest. It's not just the receivers, the players. We are trying to develop an offensive coordinator and a head coach. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask. You can't have that many guys developing on the job, learning on the job at once. That's tough.
Yeah, and here's something else we need to look at. I think we're going to have a bunch of quarterbacks transferring. If they bring in Riley, all that they're saying is this is 3 years in a row that they've chosen someone from outside Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You've got guys that have been in the program for multiple years, busting their ass. The only way they're going to get better is to let them play games that mean something real time and develop them like the SEC schools do. Okay?
Yeah.
Next thing is how much, okay, we're human beings. Okay? You bring in a transfer quarterback. Now, I like Sam. I think he's a good quarterback. But he had some horrible games that our backups maybe would have played better in. But we were too stupid, I'm sorry, to put a young quarterback in at halftime and say, let's see what you can do. But what they've done is they're bringing in these guys. They're paying them all this money.
Accurate.
The younger guys that have been there longer, they're going to start getting jealous. Notre Dame, I've already got friends that I work with that are SEC fans that are like, yeah, you guys can't develop anybody. You can't develop anybody.
All right. Here's where my mind's at with that. I believe Notre Dame's best chance for success is because of all the uniqueness that goes into Notre Dame football and everything connected with it. I think Notre Dame's going to need to grow their guy, hitch a wagon to a young guy, and grow together for a while. My thought is 25's got to be the beginning. 25 has got to be the beginning of that, where we're done with this transfer shit and we see what's going on with CJ Carr competing with whatever's here, and then Deuce after that. And one of those guys takes off. They're the guy. You hitch your wagon to it. Everything can develop for a few years. You have continuity. You would actually go into a camp knowing who your quarterback is, not having to play all those games, build together. That's the future. They just must not feel like they're there yet.
Yeah, and I'm saying these younger guys, I still think that, you know, we could lose a quarterback in the transfer portal this year. These younger guys see Notre Dame going outside, paying guys $1 million, $2 million, helping them with all these NIL deals. I know I'd be pissed off if I was there. Like, man, I'm going on my third year here.
Yeah,
and they're not even
but what they're saying is
letting me play.
Here's the thing, man. The staff is saying we need four quarterbacks. Like, they want another one for depth, but what they're not accounting for is you might scare one of your already guys out and you're in the same spot.
Yeah, that's BS. They don't need another quarterback.
Because, follow me here. Follow me.
They don't believe in what's already in the house.
And the other issue is, if you bring in a one-and-done grad guy, and then you lose, like, Angeli or Minchie because they're frustrated with that, how do you balance out the 1 year you're getting at the transfer versus those guys that have multiple years? I don't look at those the same. I see value in what Kenny Minchie could develop into. He's got years. So what if you scare that guy off? I don't know, man. There's no easy answer. Why can't we just be good and normal? Huh?
And then the other thing is, you look at, I've already heard people talk about, the kid that the Michigan ties, the quarterback that's coming in. I'm sorry, what's his name?
CJ.
CJ. I already heard that Michigan's making a massive push to try to get him at the end. And they're saying, you're not going to play there.
But wait. Why would they do that when they already got a quarterback from that class that allegedly they like more? Am I dreaming? Didn't they get the real athletic?
I think that's more coach speak. Like, we need a fourth quarterback. No, I've heard they're trying to get him, and they're saying Notre Dame doesn't develop quarterbacks. Their last three quarterbacks have all been transfers that have played, and all the guys that they recruited have transferred out.
Man, I think
not a lie. That's not a lie. Unfortunately, I hate it being a Notre Dame fan.
Man, I thought they had their guy. My information was they have their guy. They're happy with them. They think that guy's better than Carr. And that was my information. Maybe I'm missing something, man. I don't act like I'm Notre Damus up here with all the answers.
Well, I think they got to do that. And if they don't get Carr, then, hey, they've got the guy they supposedly want.
Yeah,
just like us when we bring in a transfer quarterback. We told y'all we had to have 4 guys on the roster.
Right. Man, there's no easy way out. There isn't. So I need Notre Dame.
But you look.
Yeah, go ahead.
You look at these new quarterback recruits coming in. Who's to say we aren't going to lose some of them guys?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of
if this offense don't get humming, and I'm praying to God, lighting my candles, that we don't lose Al Golden. But if we go through another year next year, like we did this year, we're in deep trouble.
Well, yep, things got to tighten up real quick. They just feel a little loose to me, and it feels like things are a little unstable. It feels like Marcus has kind of lost some of the strict, comfortable control of where things are at. I'm just giving you my intuition and the information I feel like things are a little loose, and there's just little loose strands that are starting to cause little problems. And I really need him to get things stabilized back on the tracks. I just feel like things are getting away from a little bit, and it's making me very uncomfortable. And I need him to get things stabilized back on track quickly. That is his job as the head coach. So he's got to figure that out. Anything else, man, on the way out? Thank you.
Yeah, real quick, I was going to say, I've been listening to you for, I think, a year and a half. We might have to take this to the next level with you and Goolsby. If you guys don't get Notre Dame fixed, we need to have some accountability for you two.
Hey, telling you, man, nothing's easy around here right now. Nothing's easy. Nothing's easy, man. Do what you got to do.
Have a great day, John. Thanks for your time.
Yep. Have a good weekend, buddy. Enjoy the championship football weekend that we're not involved in. God, it's frustrating. $10 holler from Ryan Farmer. We will never be top tier. Here's some positivity to enter your weekend. Son of a bitch. Like, here's some positivity. We will never be tier 1 competitive. Oh, man. That's funny. We will never be a tier 1 competitive because we require athletes to be able to read and go to class. Either Notre Dame needs to loosen up on the standards or lower the championship expectations. That is like, Ryan, that has been the discussion my entire life of Notre Dame football is that debate. Every Thanksgiving dinner, every St. Patrick's Day meal, everything. That's always the debate. Every day I talk to my family in the last 40 years, this has been a debate. Oh, man. Oh boy. Where else? I don't understand what you guys are talking about. I think I missed something in the chat. And I'm not able to moderate when we have 300 people in here and keep up with it. Sorry. I just can't monitor every chat. It's physically impossible. And to do the calls. $5 holler from Andrew. Awesome show. Don't let the trolls get to you. Best ND show for sure. You're building a great team with Pat and Goolsby. Thank you, Andrew. Just try and give you guys an entertaining, informative product and have some fun with it, man. Last call of the day, 765. It's been a long journey. Where do you fall on these Notre Dame issues?
Oh, John, it's Matt. How are you doing? I know you're not doing well, but everybody else is kind of in the same boat.
You know what, man? I'm okay. Like, I'm not doing terrible. There's just a lot of moving parts that kind of make the Notre Dame love you. You feel unstable and just kind of uncomfortable. So I'm doing okay. There's just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So what if I told you I could probably make you a little bit more uncomfortable right now? I only need like 5 minutes.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
Pete, I don't know if you saw Twitter. You probably didn't because you've been on the show. About 20, 30 minutes ago, Pete Thamel just put out that a certain quarterback is back in the transfer portal, and he's 4-1 against top 25 opponents. He could bring in some stability to the Notre Dame program, mainly because he knows the program. Looking at your next quarterback right there, buddy, that would be doomsday scenario right there.
Who would it? Wait, I'm not even picking up what you're putting down. Who is it?
Drew Pine is back in the portal with 3 years of eligibility remaining.
Yeah, but what does that matter for Notre Dame? Because they're getting Riley Leonard, so they don't want Pine back.
I don't know. I mean, could you see him bringing them back in for any particular reason? That would be a disaster, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but,
no. I didn't realize Pine. I think that ship has sailed, man. But you know what, bro? Dude.
That would silence everybody. That would silence everybody about, Notre Dame can't develop. That'd be a really weird twist of the whole thing, man. Bringing them back in, I don't know.
I don't think they want to do that. I'm just saying, though, do you think it's weird that all this Notre Dame quarterback crap through my life is overwhelming? Look at what you had, man. You had both Notre Dame's quarterbacks involved last year. Both of them transferred. And look at the position they're both in this year. It just tells you the level we're working at. Look at it. They both left for greener pastures, and it didn't get any better for them. Buckner held the clipboard 99% of the snaps this year. Wow, is that better than Notre Dame? Sure. It's Saban, I guess. So yeah, it's worth riding the bench over. I don't know.
No, I'm not in favor of it at all, but I could definitely see. I don't know. With everything going on, I'm not writing anything off.
Oh,
yet.
my
It's
God.
just,
dude, that would
it's
be...
not even the offseason yet. We still have a freaking bowl game to play, and I don't even know what's going to...
Do you want to hear the worst-case scenario?
Wild,
Let me give you this. You want to know all the Notre Dame people here? You want to know my worst-case scenario? Follow me here, man. Follow me this. Here's what happens. We're all in a bad mood now about what's going on. Let's say we don't like more announcements that come with transfers and or guys sitting out of the bowl game not wanting to play. And then you face Kelly in the bowl game, and then you lose to Kelly's backup quarterback in the bowl game. Then everybody's mad about that all summer. Then you get into Texas A&M week 1. You have a shit offense against Elko's defense, and then you look bad that week too. That's the worst case scenario. And I got news for people. It's very realistic.
It's the life of a Notre Dame fan.
I'm telling you.
Do it. Have a great weekend.
Bro, am I wrong?
We'll catch up with you later.
Am I wrong? That is the worst case scenario. That line of occurrences I just lined up, it could actually happen. Can you imagine this fan base?
The Twitter reaction would be over the top. I need a break from all of it. It's getting deleted, I think. But anyway, everybody have a great weekend. John, try to relax a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You know me, Captain Calm, Serenity now. Jesus. Thanks, man. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the football. Take care.
All righty.
All right. Pat, you jumped on right at the end. Wait a second. Now people are saying a Holden Stays is gone. I saw their rumor yesterday and I was told that it was a rumor. And now people are saying he's gone. Somebody verify that. All right, he's gone. Pat, what's going on, buddy?
I just wanted to call in and say you need to hang up on yourself from your own show. You dropped an F-bomb.
You know what, Pat? Certain circumstances. I decided to break my own rule. Am I allowed to do that? I couldn't help it, Pat. I get pushed to a certain point where it just breaks. You know what I mean. You know what I mean, because you had a Clemson moment, so you know exactly where you get to a point and it just snaps. You know what I mean, Pat. It just snaps. There's just a line. There's just a line. And when it breaks, it's just, it all comes out. So now, Pat, Holden Stays is leaving now. So now you got that as well. Whatever. They'll be all right at tight end ultimately. I'm not worried about that one. Yeah, but it's not going to help the perception of the offensive dynamics right now. But that one personally isn't going to kill me. Those younger tight ends are going to be better than Holden Stays, by the way. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. I do have one question. Is because obviously in Notre Dame world, we're not used to this. I wish there was some, like Roger Dodger, or you're a USC guy, or there's any of the Ohio State crowd in here.
Yeah.
Is this just what college football is like at this time of the year every year for every other school, and we're just not used to it yet?
Yeah, I know. I've asked myself that. Like, what would this, Pat, can I ask you if you think this is in play? I mean this. I think Notre Dame fans like us love Notre Dame so much. I think we take more offense when a guy leaves Notre Dame than a lot of places do because of our relationship with Notre Dame. Not all these guys felt the way we did, where it's Notre Dame or nothing. I feel like we're unrealistic that we expect them to love it the way we love it. It ain't like that.
Especially if you're not having a good experience there.
Right.
Like, why? There's nothing that says you're required to fall in love with Notre Dame. I mean, I'm sure some of the kids when they went there thought it was the place for them, but when they got there, it wasn't, and it happens for everybody. I'll be the first to admit the wide receiver thing does not look good, but it's a perception, and I think you're saying there's two sides of this story, but there's also a third side of this story which nobody is talking about, and it's all of this lies somewhere in the middle. Clearly, there was something wrong with the wide receiver room. Clearly, there was. And whether Stuckey is a scapegoat or he is the reason to blame, or he was, the stuff about whether, he plays favorites and all that other stuff that other channels are talking about. Some of that is probably true and some of that is probably not true. But there's a line in the middle. But there was a problem with the wide receiver room. It's evident now. You can't have what's happening and then say there wasn't. The guy got fired, and you got what are we up to 3 or 4 kids leaving?
Yeah,
that's clearly an issue.
Well, we're up to 4. We're up to 4 ball catchers leaving, and it could be 5 if Rico goes now. So you got an issue. You got an issue, man.
I think I was still able to listen when Rodney called in and said he thought Tyree was going anyways. I knew Tyree still had the 6 year. I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised by Tyree leaving. That wasn't one that shocked me. Some of the other ones is kind of like, okay. And there's guys that are leaving with clearly an axe to grind. At least one guy in particular.
Yeah.
That's sad to see. And so you can understand why there was an issue. But the house is not burning down around me. You could say that Freeman is having a stressful week. I'm sure he is. He had to fire somebody. You ever had to do that? That's not a pleasant experience. That's something I've had to do, and I did not enjoy it at all. So I can't imagine that Marcus Freeman enjoys firing somebody that he's been working closely with for the last 2 years. It's not just it's not just these wide receivers are leaving, but he's having to sit down some of these kids and explain to them that they have to move on from Notre Dame. There are kids that have to transfer because he's got more kids coming in from the recruiting side than he has roster spots available.
Yeah.
So he's having a lot of difficult conversations. And I don't know, maybe this is something easy for head coaches. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I can't imagine it's something that's super easy for Marcus Freeman. But these are necessary things that have to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not done. I still believe that there are, I think anybody who says, he's just getting rid of Stuckey, or, he's going to bring him. This coaching staff is not done changing. It's not done changing. I would be willing to bet. I don't know how much, but I'd be willing to bet there's going to be more subtraction and addition on this coaching staff. Who, when, how, why, I don't know. But there's going to be more change coming. The mark of what makes Marcus Freeman a good coach, at least for this aspect of it, is how does he come out of it on the other side around? What's a big indicator? I know somebody called in and said the Al Golden thing, and does Al Golden stay? And I don't necessarily know if Al Golden is the mark, but I do. John, you pointed out this stuff isn't happening on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
and there's a reason for that. You have an adult in the room there. You have a very seasoned defensive coordinator that knows what he's doing. And I've said this before, and before anybody calls me a Marcus Freeman apologist, I say it again. Freeman has not shown the capability of maintaining this aspect yet, of keeping people centered, grounded, understanding their roles, making sure they know what's expected of them. There's clearly a problem on the offensive side of the ball. Everybody who's been watching has said there's a problem on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
So there's Rico's gone too. Okay, Rico's. Here's I've told you. You called me last night. I don't get upset by players leaving. I'm not. I wish them lots of luck, and I hope they do well wherever they go. The indicator for me is the 3 kids coming in. The 3 kids he's got committed. Are they going to stay? If you can't keep those 3 kids and maybe pick up another one, and now you got to go get at least 3 kids in the portal, you got a problem.
Yeah.
But there's clearly a problem with the wide receiver room. It's got to be addressed. And the only way I can see this, by getting rid of Stuckey, he's trying to address it. There's probably a division in the room that was Stuckey guys and not Stuckey guys.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing the fallout of it. But you can't have that. You just can't have division in a position room. You can't have it. So Freeman had to make a decision, and I'm not going to say he made the wrong one. I actually said that I don't. There's clearly a problem with Stuckey after the Clemson game, and Stuckey caught my ire in that point too. So
yeah. This is rough. There's a lot of moving parts, and now people are saying Love also. I have not heard a word about the Love one. That would disturb me because he's got a bright future. Okay. All right, Pat. We need to do something soon, me and you, just to talk things through more, maybe more calmly.
Yeah, we could break this all down.
Let me be in touch with you. But the way you're speaking about this so calmly is upsetting me. I mean, I respect it, but it's bugging me.
Why am I going to get up? John, I told you before, I told you 1,000 times, I'm not going to get upset by what 18, 19, 20-year-old kids do.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, you're not. You're not. Well, wait a second. But you had an aneurysm when they didn't do the right things against Clemson. So, I mean, which is it?
That was Parker. I was getting upset at a 40-something-year-old coach who can't seem to call a slant play or a play action pass.
What is play action, Pat? Have you ever heard of it? Should we try it? God. All right. I got stuff to do, Pat. I got to get going here, get the kid off to school here, and have a good one, buddy. See ya.
Later, bud.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's what I'm going to say to you guys while we're still live. If Stuckey was the problem, the main problem, and everybody wanted to get rid of him, and you did, and you got 5 pass catchers leaving anyways, use your brain. Seriously, you guys, use your brain. You do not have to be a genius to logically think this out. If he was the problem and they all wanted him gone to be happy and they got what they wanted and they're all still leaving, tell me that Stuckey was the only issue or the issue. Makes no sense. If you railed to get that guy fired, you only do that if you want to stay, and it can only work if he's gone. But if he leaves and he was supposed to be the problem and now you're all leaving, it tells me there's bigger problems. That's just logic. That's just logic. I don't like the way this feels. I don't like the way this feels at all. Man. All right. There's a lot going on, you guys. There's a lot going on. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you. Thank you. These are rough times. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a break, make some calls, talk to some people, get on Twitter, read more about this, and then we'll go from there. So if I need to do another episode, we will. I'm getting together with Goolsby because he's got a bunch of stuff on this, and we both said if Rico goes today, that cranks things up to another level. But again, I'm standing by our side on the sourcing. If it was all about that guy being the issue, and now that guy's gone, and they're all still leaving, logic tells me there's a lot more in play, and it wasn't just him. Make of that what you will. Rough times in Notre Dame land. I love you guys, though. The donations, the chats, I love you. I lost my cool on some of this stuff. I'm sorry, man. These are heavy times. These are heavy times. So Notre Dame's got to navigate through it. Marcus Freeman's got to figure that out. He's made some decisions, and they better turn around to be the right ones. He's going to be a DC soon. There's no other way to say it. He either needs to right the ship, make good decisions, or he's going to be a DC very, very soon, and a lot of people are going to be frustrated. Nothing's easy in Notre Dame land. All right, I need to take a couple minutes to clear my head here. God, man, you guys try and relax. Try and have fun. Try and relax. Do something fun with your family or friends. Go do something not football related. Go see a show. Go to a concert. Go have a beer and don't talk about football. Do something. All right, I'll talk to you guys. Man, a heavy episode. We covered a lot of ground. I love it, though. That's what we're here for. Have a good one, you guys.